Sorry, everybody. Hey, hi. Sorry, that ran a little long. Hey, it's Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com, and hello, low ego action heroes. Welcome, welcome. Finally, we're going to do this podcast. It was unfortunately rescheduled a couple of times. I hope everybody's ready. You're going to want a pen and paper today, not only to take notes, but to do a little exercise later. We'll also have a live poll, so prepare a browser tab or your phone for that. And of course, as always, I'm taking live questions on LinkedIn, YouTube, and now Twitter, hashtag DeltaCX. So I'll be watching all of those places. And while I set up all of my screens, let's bring in today's guest. And it is someone I've known since 2006 and trust with my life. It is Laurel Elders. And Laurel, while I set up all of my screens, which is no fun, please tell everybody all about you.
Okay, so I became a life coach in 2005 professionally. And now, fast forward years later, I am the CEO of the Institute for Integrative Coach Training. We train and certify coaches in life or leadership.
And where can people find out more about that?
IntegrativeCoachTraining.com. We have the most information there.
Okay, and I'm going to spell your name just for the people listening to the audio only version. Laurel is Laurel, and Elders is ELD like Delta, ERS like Sierra. And you can find her on LinkedIn, and you can also follow on, I think, Instagram and Facebook for integrative coach training. So these are some ways to find Laurel in your world. So today we're talking about finding your life purpose. And this came about because many people will ask me, Debbie, is UX the right career path for me? And that just feels kind of like a question of, is this my calling or my purpose? And I didn't feel qualified to answer that, but I thought you were. So let's start with how do you define the phrase life purpose?
So it's such an interesting topic because it can mean different things to different people, and there are many definitions. So I was thinking, like, gosh, how do we really boil this down? And basically, life purpose is the essence of living life on purpose or with a purpose. The Japanese call it ikigai. You have meaning and you are living your life through that meaning. So the definition that I thought was the most helpful was connecting to a central motivation that gives you direction, meaning, and fulfillment.
Connecting to a central motivation that gives you meaning, direction, and fulfillment. Okay.
Mhm.
And is it important for your life purpose to tie into your career?
That's ideal. So
Okay.
if you can tie your purpose to your profit, that is where it's at, because then you get the best of both worlds. Like, you've got the fulfillment piece, but you're also making a living at what you do. So absolutely ideal. And what I've noticed is that people that place profit first and ignore a deeper meaning or purpose, they might make it and be, really rich, but live with this emptiness inside. So that can be one of the symptoms of not having a purpose.
Okay. And are there, how would this is a wacky question and we didn't talk about it before, but how can people know if they've found their purpose?
Well, symptoms include, so symptoms, if you're not living with purpose, can include you feel empty at the day, like something's missing. Some people call it the hole in their heart. Um, you begin to seek fulfillment more externally by overdoing things like food or video games, whatever that looks like. And again, it's the overdoing to kind of cover up that empty feeling. Another symptom is you might feel disconnected or lost, like you're going through the motions of life, you're checking all the boxes, but you're just not happy. And you're like, why? What is this all about? On the other side of it, symptoms that you're in a purpose, you're living with a purpose, is you do feel more fulfilled. even when stressors come up. And that's the key thing. So life doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're aligned with a purpose, it's more tolerable. Another symptom is you come to life when you're doing your work. Like it's not a drag, you enjoy it. Feelings of gratitude, feeling content, or curiosity of like, ooh, what's next? And then feeling confident is kind of the side effect of all of that as well.
Warning, side effects include confidence and happiness. Is it ever too late to find your life purpose? If we're in our 40s or 50s, should we be like, "Oh, I give up. I should just make the money."
Yeah, at 40, you should just give up.
Yay!
Just kidding. I am 40s.
I'm
So,
40s too.
no, never too late. And what's cool about purpose is that, you know, gosh, even if you're, you know, elderly, you can still volunteer at the library. Like it can be something small. It doesn't have to be like flashy. I just saved 5 whales today. It can be something very just connects you to something that has meaning for you.
You only saved 4 whales today.
Oh man,
I know, slacker. Um,
super bummer.
yeah. Now, I think one thing that could be a little confusing is there's purpose and calling, and people are always saying, "Do you know your purpose? Do you know your calling?" Are these terms
Hmm.
interchangeable, or what's the difference between life purpose and life calling?
So a purpose is more, it's something that you choose, something you align with. You're like, oh, that has meaning. I choose this. A calling is a life purpose, but it chooses you. People talk about callings as something it doesn't quite make sense. They're like, I don't know why, but I feel called to do this. It's like an internal drive. Sometimes it like doesn't make sense at all, and people question it. I had that happen to me personally with the coaching school. It's like, no, I'm happy. I'm good where I'm at. Why is this prompting coming to me? Either one can feel fulfilling, and some people do feel called to things. Some people don't. There's no good, bad, right, or wrong. Um, Life purpose can make more sense because you've chosen it, right? Versus a calling might feel out of left field.
So let me get personal and ask you about me just to try to help people listening piece this together and to help me piece
Mm-hmm.
this together. So I've often said that I'm here to be a catalyst to other people. And that I've known for my whole life that the main reason I'm here is to be a catalyst to others and to help them in some way and to push their boat a little bit. Is that a purpose or a calling or both? Or neither? Or something else?
Definitely sounds like a purpose because it does it fulfill you and give you meaning when you're aligned with that.
Yeah, yeah, it's completely rewarding to see other people even just get it, whether they get a smile out of something wacky I've done or they really go and
Mm-hmm.
change their life or their work. That's what it's all about. It's not about, to me, it's never about, it's rarely about money. It's really about what change can
Mm-hmm.
I create?
Nice. And what within that called to you to do?
I don't even know how to answer that. It's just like something I feel like I've always known. Like I've always known I have the power to make change and I'm just going to wait to collide with people who are open to change and some aren't. And maybe there's something that I can say or do that resonates with them and helps create change.
Nice. Nice.
Helps.
Yeah, that I mean that sounds like a very clear purpose.
Now I have to pay you for the session. Ah. Uh, but then I also feel like, well, I've got to do CX and UX work. Like I'm absolutely driven to make products and services and apps and software better for people and to create better architecture and designs of all these things people are stuck using all day, our screens and our experiences. Uh, Could that be a purpose or a calling?
Well, what I'm hearing is that you have this purpose to help create change, and then within that, you feel this drive to help optimize UX.
Yeah, you could say
So
that.
perhaps, okay. So perhaps that's the call. Like you feel a call, you feel called to help in this area. And usually people, I mean, you don't really feel a call if there's something that's already going excellent in all areas of life, right? So,
That makes
yeah.
sense. Okay, it sounds like you're saying it's likely that we might feel called to improve something that to us is not going well, or we see room
Hmm.
for improvement.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, just a reminder to people as we go along that this is live. If you're watching live, if it's tomorrow, hi. And I think we have about 15 or so people watching live between YouTube and LinkedIn. What are your questions, everybody? We are happy to take questions. Well, I've written down a few questions that I'm asking, but I want to hear from the live watchers. Like, what do you guys think of this, and what are you thinking? Um, so purpose and calling. Um, are we allowed to ask your purpose and calling, or is that too personal?
Oh, no, absolutely. My purpose was to be of service to others, and I was called to do that through coaching and then later teaching coaches to impact the impactors. So I
Train
had a
the trainer.
huge, yeah, train the trainer, but I had a huge calling to, um, for ethical leadership, to support ethical leadership. So some of my passions, and we'll get into, when we get into the formula, I can break all that down. We're going to discuss um,
Okay. There's a
what the
formula
formula is
coming,
later.
and also I've got a
There's a
poll
formula.
queued up. Yeah, tell me when you want me to show the poll, because I don't know where it fits into some of the things we said we were going to throw on the screen. Um, another another possible question is, what should people do if they're going in a certain direction in their personal life or in their career, and they're getting the feeling that they're not really connected to that burst of energy or that reward or that purpose or calling? What can people do at that point? Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. So in essence, living without a purpose typically means that we're living out of alignment with our potential as well. And so we really want to, well, this is what I recommend, the stop, drop, and roll method. So, what I mean by that is stop what you're doing and set aside time to contemplate and go within, because your answers are within. Your success formula is within you. Drop represents dropping into your heart. What is calling you? What are you passionate about? What is missing in your life? What's at stake if you continue to live without a purpose? Like, how are you feeling? How is that impacting the other areas of your life? Um, and roll around options to switch gears. So what can you do? There's three options basically. You can add purpose to your current career path and see what are my options to do that. Maybe it's talking to your boss about, hey, I want to start doing this in my current job. You can switch directions within your career path, like looking within the company to go in a different direction, like maybe more artistic direction versus a more, I'm going to enter data today. Um, or three, really start considering, am I just in the wrong career? Am I misaligned? Or is there anything else that I could be adding to my life to give me that purpose?
Makes sense. I hope we have no questions because people are just going, I hope people are having like a self-awareness moment, because usually we're getting like piles of questions, but there's just an eerie silence today in the chat. Hello, is everyone there? I see you there, but nobody is writing anything. A few people pressed like on Facebook, so I'm sorry, on LinkedIn. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
Um, so Gosh, finding the life purpose. Now, did you want to run the poll before we give people the formula to see if they know their purpose already?
Mhm.
All right, let's see if we
Yes,
can get the poll
absolutely.
working. All right, so for those of you joining live, we're going to try a live poll. And to access it, you can go to menti.com, menti.com. You can do it from your phone, you can do it from a laptop. And when it asks you for the code, you're going to put in 41844. And basically, we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to access this poll because I know there's delays with LinkedIn and with YouTube. So give everybody a little bit of time to answer. We got two questions. This is question one. Are you clear on your life purpose? Do you know it or think you know it? And we're giving you three choices: no, maybe, and yes, very for sure. Like I think Laurel and I would say yes, very. Oh, good. We've got some people voting already. This is super. I'll let it run for another maybe minute because I know sometimes LinkedIn is lagging. Let me check if it's lagging. Oh, the poll came up for LinkedIn, so not lagging too much today. We've got 7 people voting. And how many people are watching us live? 16. So, okay, good. Finally, someone said no. Come on, a little honesty. It's okay if you don't know what your life. We're not here to judge you. I mean, This is. I'm sure life purpose is something that some people never figure out or never connect to. But you tell me, Laurel. You're the expert. Um,
Well, usually people come to coaching when they're ready to look at life purpose. So, um, the circle that I'm in is very rich with purpose. That's a key motivator. But I would say, there are people. My dad, I think, would never consider life purpose, and that's just he's fine with that. So if it really comes down to what would give you meaning. And also, in coaching, one of the premises of coaching is that you have your own answers, you have your own wisdom. And one thing I've learned is that every single one of us has their own unique success formula. You can replicate some steps, but the way you do it is going to be unique to you. So that's important too when considering life purpose is what does life purpose mean to you?
yeah, and it sounds like you shouldn't be pressured by what other people have decided for themselves, that this is going to be unique for everybody.
Yep, absolutely. And actually, I believe the more diverse, the better. Because we live in a world, I mean, gosh, has anybody noticed there's some issues going on in the world? Maybe a little notice.
I'm gonna give
So,
that my red flag effect. Yikes! Red flags.
right? I have come to believe that if each of us really stepped into a purpose and had a passion and was here to fulfill something that needs fulfilled, this world would be a completely different place. And so the diversity of what calls to you versus someone else is needed. Like we need that diversity. We need somebody to be passionate about the environment, or shoot, it's gonna not go well. We need somebody to be passionate about leadership. We need someone to be passionate about the library down the street, right? So all of this diversity, and really, looking at what is calling me can be really impactful.
Great. So I'm going to switch. We've got 11 votes, which is great because we have, let's see, 11 people live on YouTube and 8 people live on LinkedIn. So that's a pretty good representation. Come on, everybody, vote. It's free. And I will switch us to the next slide, which is going to make us disappear for a moment. Okay, we're back. So if you refresh, those of you who are on the page or in the app, or if you go to menti.com, 41844. The next question is, are you living that life purpose? No? A little? Yes, a lot? Um, let's see what people are going to say. We've got 2 votes so far. I'll leave this up for a good minute or so people can join in the voting. A little. 5 votes. Lots of no's. Laurel, in your work, is it common that people might have an idea of their life purpose or know it and then just not really be living it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I see is arguing with it.
Mm.
Like, oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, that doesn't, that would no, that wouldn't make sense. Oh, people will my family won't like it if I head in that direction. So those are
Right.
some of the resistances that can come up around a purpose.
And maybe external, like, oh, my family, my society, someone might not like this.
Yeah, or maybe it's not practical. So I was a single mom for 9 years, and I felt this strong call, and yet I had bills to pay. So I was like, well, I can't quit my day job. But so sometimes it can be those types of dynamics. And I've also found that I mean, I hate to say it, but where there's a will, there's a way. So even though as a single mom, I ended up making it work and quitting a job and taking a leap of faith.
Right, which isn't for everybody, and some people need more of
Right.
that
Yeah.
safety net.
Exactly, and I'd never recommend anybody do that. But there's usually avenues to creating a path to your purpose. And so you just need to get a little creative, think outside the box. But I've never seen somebody that couldn't do it. It's just a matter of figuring out the
Mm.
how.
So are you surprised by these results where most people voted, do they know their life purpose a little? Are they living it? No. And we also got a question from Frederick in the YouTube chat. How can I live something I just know a little about?
Mm. So my question would be, what could help you get closer to knowing more about it?
What do we know
What
about it so
steps
far?
could you take? Yeah, and what do you know so far?
I will bring us back to this screen. Um, whew. I'm still thinking about those results. Like there was a lot of votes for yes, a little. Do you have experience with people who feel like I kind of maybe sort of almost know it, or like is that common, or people just like yes, I know it?
Yeah, usually, actually, just knowing it is pretty rare in my experience.
So
So if
it's
you're one of the lucky ones that you're just like out of the gate, this is my purpose, that's amazing. Not many people fall in that category. Most people grapple with it because there are external demands, there are what ifs, there's fears, all those things can kind of cloud it. But when those are moved, removed, or looked at, even with the stop, drop, and roll in coaching, we get people to really look at what's true, what's false, and align with what's true for them. And then once that clarity takes root, it's profound what people can accomplish.
So I know you're not a UX expert. Sorry, everybody. Laurel
Hmm.
can't be great at everything. She's great at a lot. Also great at rock climbing. So, uh, do you have advice about if someone is trying to figure out if UX is part of their life purpose or calling? Advice for those people who are wondering, is this my path?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that I recommend looking at is, what's your motivation for entering UX? Is it external or internal? So an internal, intrinsic motivation means this has meaning for me. This is aligned with a value or a passion I have. If it's external, like, ooh, can I make a lot of money? You may still be successful as you enter UX. And this is for any field, not just UX, any field. Um, you know, the basically the people that put the purpose before the profit, you'll have the opportunity to feel that fulfillment and make money. Like I said, that's like win-win if you can do both. But if you're just going for money, maybe consider, is there anything else that I'm missing that would lead to that purpose, that fulfillment, that could also be a good money generator?
Yeah, great. Thank you. This is the point in the show where I take a short break to quickly plug my company because we don't have a sponsor. So let me just remind everybody that Delta CX is a company and you can hire us. Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation. And let me also please remind you, it's a great time to subscribe if you're on YouTube. Won't you please press the subscribe button? I'm almost at 1,000. I'd be so honored. We're jokingly going to do boyfriend reveal at 1,000 subscribers, or as I'm calling it, ask my boyfriend anything. And please empathize with the like button. Tell the YouTube algorithm you enjoyed this video and you would recommend it to other people. And of course, you can also join the Slack channel. We've got about 300 people there now. So that I want to remind people of. And please remember, I'm in here somewhere, you can sign up for my upcoming Acture workshop, which is going to be in early December. And you just follow this link and learn more about it. deltacx.link/DEC for December 2020, and you'll learn all about the live 2-day workshop to get you comfortable with Acture, and also the videos you'll get, and it's all for $60. 60 2-day workshop. I've put it on sale because something good has to happen in 2020. I hope it'll be me. So let's grab a couple of questions from the room as they're coming in. We've got somebody called Fresh Mind who says, purpose driven UX design seems to be an emerging field, designing for soul as opposed to ego. Referring here to a book called Customer Experiences with Soul by Simon Robinson. Could you comment? I have not read that book, but I'm just going to ask Laurel, can you comment generally on work that is designing for soul versus ego?
Oh, that sounds like a breath of fresh air. The world needs that. The world needs that. The world needs people to be more in their authenticity and more aligned with, yeah, their human self versus yeah, being so ego driven. And people are starting to notice that there's an opposition against ego driven. There was a study I read where um, leaders that came across as just being in their egos but were super polished were actually less likable than the ones that were not polished, just real. People are starting to connect with the real. So that's what comes to mind. Is that's a breath of fresh air to me.
Well, thanks, Fresh Mind. I don't know who you are, but that sounds like an interesting book people can check out. Customer Experiences with Soul by Simon Robinson. So I don't know that one. So let's check it out. If anybody's watching live, did you read that book? Tell us what you thought of it, and we'll turn it into a little bit of a conversation. Denise has an interesting comment. Let's bring that one up. And she says, I was thinking I can help people with UX design, but I'm fighting every day in my job. And this is definitely true. There are many UX and CX jobs where a lot of our day is conflict because other people at our workplaces usually think they can do our jobs. They want to overrule us. They want to circumvent us. I guess, Laurel, my question, thinking of what Denise is saying, would be how do you pursue that purpose or calling when you feel like there's just conflict and chaos around you?
Gosh, that's such a good question. So there's a couple answers. One is to, if you're working with a coach, like a professional coach in your profession, like professional development, see if there's anything that you can shift. Sometimes when we shift what's going on within, it can help invite external shifts. It's amazing. So that'd be numero uno. If you want to stay put, you like what you're doing, then see what you can do. See if there's anything that can shift and invite shift on the outside. The other idea, of course, is to look at, is there anything else I could be doing? Do I need to shift companies? If this company's not in alignment and is not going to bring out the best you, go, there's no need to fight upstream. There's so many options in this day and age. So that can be something to consider as well.
Yeah, and I have a meme for that, and I call it Staying Quiet Now, Updating LinkedIn and Portfolio Later. So I've been doing dog-based memes just to try to make 2020 a little bit better. Um, so Denise, I know we've talked about this one before. Obviously, you can stay and you can go, but I wonder what can shift within you. And to me, let's just get personal a moment. I've been working with Laurel since I met her in 2006. And it is 2020. Now, I'm not calling her every day, but I do usually talk to her a few times a year and ask for help. And sometimes things are pulling me in all different directions, or I'm not sure that I'm really grounded in something. I'm a little bit on the periphery. I'm not focused. I thought something was important to me, and I found out through an exercise with Laurel it wasn't. So these are the types of things that Laurel helps me with. And there's got to be a Laurel out there for everybody. She might not have the time to help all of you, but don't be afraid to connect with a coach who can help you with some of this direction and some of this purpose and maybe confidence and other things that can sometimes start the shift at the job. Sometimes I believe, sometimes when we show up with more confidence and more respect for ourselves, other people around us shift a little bit. Just something I
Absolutely.
think. I'm not
Hmm.
I'm not licensed. Um let's go with Ralitsa's question, and she says, "Hey ladies, what if you've discovered what you're called to do is something so big and so hard to reach you can't even begin to figure out how to get there? What do you do?"
Lao Tzu said, "This journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," and I can attest to that. I felt this huge call, and I fought with it like, that's just obnoxious. I'm a single mom. I don't have time. I can't, all the fears. One step at a time. They say that, and this is good news and bad news. They say that overnight success is actually 10 years in the making.
Right.
Yay, because that gives you time, but also kind of disappointing, right? We would just want to be successful already in our calling. It does take time. So you want to be realistic about that. And it is okay to just take one step closer every day, any way you can. You'll
I
get there.
agree. Yeah, I always tell people baby steps. Just do small things. You don't have to make a big jump. And if you're not too sure, sometimes people ask me, but Deb, I don't even know what that path is. And every time I hear that, I say, find a mentor or a coach. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to figure this out yourself. Again, I make no money if you hire Laurel or you hire anybody else. There's no, I don't get a commission. I'm just a believer in this from having done it myself. So, I remember you, especially if you're feeling like, I'm not sure what this is, I don't know how to get there. And I think we even said this in episode 59, Finding a Mentor, that you just have to know the goal. And even if you're not sure of the goal, the coach could help you with that. But knowing the goal helps, and a coach will help you get there. Fresh Mind is back and says, some people seem to feel terrible if they don't have a sense of purpose. For designers, this can affect their motivation. What could or should they do? Ooh, how do we stay motivated if we don't think we have found our purpose?
That can be a challenge. Um, gosh, my first piece of advice would be to seek out, well, while you're in it, seek out one thing that you love about what you're doing while you're in something you're uncomfortable or you don't like or is not aligned. What is it that you can find that you do like it so that it makes being there temporarily that much more tolerable? And then start considering the bigger picture. What is calling me that's not this? If I'm not comfortable, if this is not aligned, what is in alignment? And then you can start switching directions that way.
There you go. Fresh
Debbie, any
mind.
thoughts on that?
Affecting your motivation. Yeah, it's a hard one. I get some people coming to me saying, "That's it. I'm so fed up. Maybe I should just leave UX altogether." And it can definitely, a lot of disappointments at our job, or the fighting Denise was talking about, can make people feel like, I'm just going to go flip burgers, or I'm just going to go somewhere where people don't fight me so much. And my thought is always, if that's what feeds your soul, go ahead. You have to do, again, I'm no coach. I haven't gone through Laurel's training. I dream of it, but I haven't done it. And I think that if it feeds your soul, you've got to keep pursuing it. And if you just haven't found good work situations, keep looking for the next one. Um, because I know that some of the corporate jobs I've had have not been as enjoyable for me as agency jobs. And so people who've had a lot of corporate jobs are always like, oh, or some people love startup jobs. They love that pressure and that intensity. I love agency work more than other things, but I love everything. But I find the agency work tends to be a really good match to me. And that's what helps me sometimes get motivated, is just finding a different project.
Yeah, and really considering, is it the environment, but I'm aligned with the work I want to be doing, or is it the work that I'm not in alignment with, right? Because sometimes it can just be an environment thing. Maybe there's a different company that's more aligned.
Yes, very true. And obviously, with some of the unethical companies we're seeing out there, not everybody is going to feel like this company is the place to do what I need to do. It might
Yeah.
be time to move on. So Shri says thriving in conflict. Well, you can walk away from conflict or you can thrive. Is there a third choice? What else can you do? So I'm looking at some of our notes. Does it make sense to do some of our exercise now, knowing we have about 20 minutes left?
Yes.
Okay, pen or pencil and paper, everybody. Now what do I do?
All right. Okay. So the question of, how can I find a life purpose? So, like I mentioned, everyone has their own unique success formula in life. So, one of the things that I love to do is break down abstract concepts into practical steps. So, this is a formula I've seen work the best, because life purpose can, like I said, it can mean different things to different people, but starting to look at this formula helps you really dial it in. All right, so if you take your core values, so write down core values, and then write down plus passions plus strengths equals my mission, my why, my life purpose. So Simon Sinek says, what is your why? It's life purpose. So value your values, your passions, and your strengths are the apex of where your potential exists. I'm going to say that again. Your values, your passions, and your strengths are the apex of where your potential exists. And you can use these to inform your mission or answer a calling, and that can be pretty powerful. So let's unpack these. Oh, go ahead, Debbie.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like we need to end it with a Venn diagram where the circles are intersecting and the thing in the middle is
Mhm.
like, I have to do this. Sorry, you go ahead.
All right. So looking at, excuse me, first let's look at core values. So what you want to do is identify your top core values. And Debbie, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask, do you have the ability to put a link for people to
Um,
follow
I can put
later?
yeah, I can put a message up on the screen with the link and we'll read it out and spell it out for the people listening to the audio only one, but of course, I can add it to the YouTube description.
Okay.
So yeah, so is it something you can
Okay.
say to me now and I can type it?
I don't have the link now, and I think it's pretty long,
It's
but I
long.
wanted to
Okay.
offer, okay, yeah, yeah. So I wanted to offer, if you don't know your top core values, I have a process you can follow. And so I could get Debbie that link. And so we could post that, it sounds like, in the YouTube description
Yeah, I
for
can
you.
add it to the YouTube description, and when this goes out to iTunes and Spotify, I can put it in the episode description.
Okay, wonderful. All right,
Yes, send
so
it over.
3 to 5 core values, identify those. And next, consider your passion. So Passions come from values, but they're a little more specific. So values are more qualitative. It's like the quality of life that we just love. It lights us up. And passions are more quantitative. So they're more specific ways that these values can come to life and show up. And passions can also be linked to what the world needs. Like, we talked about a little earlier. Um, if everything was fine and dandy, we probably wouldn't have a passion to do it. It's already being fulfilled. So, an example is I have a passion for ethical leadership and the environment. I love both. So, what I would love to do is help leaders make decisions that positively impact all things, their employees, the environment, et cetera, themselves, their lives. So, my value that's driving my why is wisdom. And I'm not seeing wisdom show up in some leadership nowadays. I don't know about anyone else, but there's some areas that there could be a gap there. So that's my purpose, is to help leaders become more aligned with their wisdom. So that's an example. Now, strengths, like, okay, so strengths, where does strengths fit into all this? Strengths Finder, you can go to, I think it's strengthsfinder.com, or just type in Strengths Finder. And they have a strengths assessment so that you can just have a quick path to what are my strengths. Some people can just quickly identify their strengths. But the reason I love Strengths Finder is they did research and found that the whole approach of, oh, you have weaknesses, so the company's trying to develop their employees through their weaknesses, was really ineffective.
Hmm.
When people started living and working and leading through their strengths, they skyrocketed in their success. So this was a game changer, because in the past, the approach was build on your weakness, cover up your weaknesses or build them up. And it's like, no, lead into your strengths, because that is a shortcut to delivering what I call your genius zone, your passions and your values, your
Oh, sorry, sorry. I accidentally muted you because I was clicking on strengthsfinder.com. You should be back.
all right.
Sorry.
Yeah, so strengthsfinder.com. No worries.
Looks like
Um,
this.
awesome.
Okay.
Yes, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do things the hard way. Including your strengths in what you do can help you really create a solid pathway to get there sooner than later. So, um, who asked the question about the oh, I have this big calling. Align with your
Ralica.
strengths as you're moving forward. Yes, and it'll be that much easier. All right. So considering these three aspects can inform your mission, can inform your why, and you have a gauge, like, oh, if I chose this path, that's not using my strengths. I'm going to be swimming upstream. So, better way.
And is there anything special about core values? What are some examples of core values, just so people know the types of things we're talking about that they could pick from? Or is there a website like Find My Core Values?
Yeah, so I'll send you the link to a process that I use in coaching, and you can do that process on your own. I'll also send a link to a list of values. It's not a conclusive list, but it gets you thinking, idea generating, right? Um, an example, my core values are wisdom, health, and wealth. So when those are like the lighthouse that kind of guides what I do. And when I add that to my passion for ethical leadership, my passion for success in all areas, then I can, that I broke it down to, oh, coaching is a natural fit. It was a natural fit, engaging strengths, passions, and values. So that's an example.
Yeah. Oh, I'm lost in thought. Now I'm going to be a terrible interviewer because I'm just like lost in thought with all of this. Hey, everybody, as you're listening live, how's your list going? Anybody have thoughts or questions about this exercise? Anybody feel stuck? Anybody want to share anything that they've noted? LinkedIn, you still there? LinkedIn's quiet today. It's a 20-second delay to YouTube, so sorry about the mysterious silences. Apologies to the people listening on audio only tomorrow. Um, Passions, strengths, honesty. Well, I wrote down honesty for core value. I think that's,
Hmm.
and I think people who've dropped by my live streams before know I'm really on fire about honesty and critical thinking. I really want to see more people doing critical thinking, not being
Hmm.
swayed by crap and lies and stuff.
Right, not default.
Ralitza says Strengths Finder is asking to be paid. I guess it's not free. She's wondering if there's another free site that you know of that would let people look at their strengths. Strengths Finder is
Hmm.
paid.
Let's see. Um,
Yes. Sri says
I
hats
took.
on. So this is my critical thinking hat, as those who are fans of the show know.
I'm wondering if just doing a search for free strengths assessment, if
Yeah,
anything
just make
comes
sure
up
you're
around
not like
that.
giving anybody your social security number or bank account or
Exactly. Yeah. I took the test in the book. If you get the book, it covers all the different strengths, and they do have the assessment in the book as well.
what's the name of that book?
Um, Strengths. Let's see. I think it's Strengths Finders.
That could be a good name for a book.
Right?
What if?
2.0, now by Gallup.
Oh, it's
Clifton
Strengths
Strengths
Finder.
Online Assessment. Yeah,
Is
Strengths
it like on
Finder.
Amazon? I should
It
look.
should, yeah,
Why am I
absolutely be on
asking you?
Amazon.
Let's see. Strengths Finder book.
Let's get clear. Formerly
Strengths
named
Finder. It is
Clifton.
on Amazon, but it's Strengths Finder as one word.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be a little funky. It's got a 4-star rating out of 5 with over 5,000 reviews, which tell me some people loved it and some people hated it. Goodreads gives
Yeah,
it a
and the
3.9 out of 5. So it sounds like people mostly like it.
yeah, and you don't have to take an assessment. You can just consider, what am I good at? Like at the end of the day, where do I shine? What are those traits, and just capture those.
Yeah, I wrote down because you said they're specific, they're how your values come to life. So if my values include honesty and critical thinking, my passions could be writing, teaching.
UX?
Yes, because you said passions are what the world needs. So good UX, helping people be better at doing UX work.
Mm-hmm.
I think the world needs that.
Absolutely.
You guys tell me. And you can tell me by pressing the subscribe button and the like button. That would tell me the most. Terrible cheesy plug, sorry.
Love it.
Core values, passions, and strengths. Hmm. So is this the kind of thing where once people start making this list, will it jump out at them or might it still be a little bit cryptic?
Sometimes it jumps out. More than not, it takes reflective thought. And for either one, you can work with a coach on this, because coaches can kind of see the weeds from the, you know, or the trees from the forest, so to speak. So you can do that. You can sit with it. Give it its own space, though. Like really sit down and think it through and look at options, and the options that light you up, you're onto something. right? So spend some time with it. And sometimes it's trial and error. And so that's why when Debbie said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast on life purpose?" I'm like, whoa, that's such a huge topic, right? It can be. So sometimes it's trial and error. So you feel called to head in a certain direction or try something out or something lights you up. And it's like, it didn't light me up as much as I thought now that I'm in it. Okay, great. It doesn't have to be an overnight thing. And sometimes it is too.
And it's okay to walk away from something that's not connecting to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We give you permission. What about what about trying to connect to yourself in a year like this one?
Mm.
I'm sure in a year like this one, people can feel really blocked and stressed and like, I can't think about myself. My kids are home.
Mm-hmm.
I have to school them. My job's all crazy or I lost my job. How can this is a little bit outside of life purpose, but how do you recommend people start getting grounded or reconnected to self in the craziest times ever?
Yeah, that is an excellent question and one we're all kind of grappling with. So, this is the year that us integrative coaches are calling immediate concerns. A lot of us are dealing with things that have more immediacy to them. Um, Immediacy does not allow the brain to think creatively. So, if you're ready and really looking at what is my big picture? Where am I headed and why? Schedule time. If you can do like a retreat, anything to get your brain out of immediate concerns. So when the brain is freed up from stress, it becomes creative and it starts to process more efficiently. So in coaching, I've learned your answers are within you. You just have to create space for them, for the answers to surface, and clear the blockages. So fears and all of that. So putting fears aside, putting yeah buts aside, what would you love to do? Really sit with that question, give it space.
And is it okay to have more than one answer to that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because that gives you good, a variety to work towards and try things out and explore.
And it sounds also like I think it's probably common for people to start negative self-talk as soon as they have those dreams. Like,
Hmm.
hey, I'd really like to do this, but how's that ever going to happen? And look at where I am now. And I know we talked before about trying to take a baby step, but is there any other advice other than the baby step of how we get out of some of that negative self-talk about, oh God, but where I am now?
Hmm. Yes, I would say remember that the circumstances of what's going on now does not correlate to what is possible.
If I can just jump in, that's a great reminder for people who want to get that first UX job and are having trouble right now between the economy, the job market. They probably haven't upskilled enough to get that first job. And I see a lot of them on LinkedIn questioning, well, I haven't found this job, so maybe UX isn't for me. So, can you say something like that again, that where you are now is not where you'll always be?
Absolutely. And another way to look at it is what has happened in the past does not have to dictate the future unless we let it. And so basically, to sum it up, the truth of what's going on now does not define the truth of what is possible. That's actually on a tagline on our website. In response to what's going on with 2020, right? 2020 has been really stressful, and it's easy to get caught in the stress and forget what's possible.
So, you're saying I could still be in the Dutch operatic metal band?
Go for it.
I will. You can't stop me. I don't know Dutch, but anyway, I'll work on it. All the things. Start with something. So I want to remind everybody how they can find you and get in touch with you. I'm going to write your integrative, I can never spell that, integrative coach training. I'm going to throw that up on the screen. And everybody, it's your last chance to ask a question because we do normally end in about 5 minutes. So if you have any last questions for Laurel, throw them up there. If you want to get to know what she does, integrativecoachtraining.com. And do you have any workshops or webinars coming up if people are curious about being a coach or learning coaching?
We have coaching fundamentals, and it really teaches you the difference between coaching, counseling, and consulting, and how to have an effective coaching conversation with someone. So these are skills that can translate into your personal life, into your professional life at work. Um, People that learn coaching skills report back, even in a meeting, just having those basic skills helped them relate in completely different ways and change the work environment. So I don't like to minimize the fundamentals ever. We have it's 3-week training, 6 hours, and it gets you just a really solid foundation in coaching skills.
Sounds good. I got to put that on my list. We've got a comment from Kathleen, who I like to call Anonymous Bear because she participated in something we did months ago and she showed up as a bear character. Kathleen says, I think I got something for myself. Core values, growth and creativity. Passion, self learning and help people. Strengths, technology and graphic design.
Ooh, I love that.
Gives you the chills. Ooh, Kathleen, you're getting there. So then, what's your purpose and your calling? So, Laurel, if someone came to you with this, would you be brainstorming with them on what their purpose and calling might be if they're still not sure?
First, I would do the foundational work. Make sure they know their core values. Make sure they understand what their passions are. Basically, get the formula laid out, and then start answering those questions. And really digging.
And I know that you don't always have time to do the coaching yourself because you're busy with the school, but I get the feeling if people contact you, you can put them in touch with some of the coaches that have graduated from your program who are
hmm
practicing.
Yes, I do have my private practice, but it is usually full. But the hire a coach page on our website has excellent coaches on there, and all of them are trained in whole person, that integrative, so they can help you connect dots in really profound ways as well.
And I can be a testimonial there too, because when Laurel does her courses, when I used to live in the same town as Laurel, she would do her workshops with these people, and then she would ask for a crash test dummy to come in and be sample coached by some of her students. And I would say, I'll be right there. And I would meet some of these students, and they always had really wonderful, creative, interesting ideas that I hadn't thought of. Laurel would say, come with a problem or something you want to talk about. And these people would always have something interesting. So I would trust someone who has graduated from your program. And again, not sponsored. I don't make any money from this. I just have good experiences and I want everybody to have the good experiences that I've had. Kathleen says, introspection is hard. I'm still not 100% sure about all of these. Well, it'll be a process, and maybe
Mhm.
it's worth getting that coach. Laurel, I'm sure. And Ralitza says, thank you for the podcast and answers. Gives me food for thought. Do you, some people might be worried about, ooh, how much would coaching cost me? Do you have a sense of how many hours or something someone might need to find that life purpose? Is this a few hours of coaching? Is it weeks and months? Any guess?
You know, yeah, so it does depend on the person and how close you might already be. But I would say in general, it could take 2 or 3 sessions. It doesn't have to be a year long process at all, especially with a coach. You can laser in pretty well. And also in terms of affordability, there's a lot of coaches doing pro bono work right now because of COVID. They really are here to be of service and help. So keep that in mind. Never hesitate to reach out to a coach and see if they have a sliding scale. Also, the school has student coaches. They would love practice. So feel
I've
free
done
to
that.
reach out. Yes, yes. So feel free to reach out if you want pro bono coaching. But if you did want to work with a professional coach that's already in practice, then like I said, we also have that hire a coach page as well.
Okay, super. So to wrap up, Laurel, other than following you on LinkedIn or tracking you down on the social media, any last words you want to say to the viewers and listeners?
Yes, I just want to say, please follow your calling. Please follow your passions. The world really needs you. They need your passions. The world needs your strengths. We're seeing um, gaps in things not going as well as they could because people tend to be more externally driven. And my theory is that if we had people connecting into their purpose, there's enough of a diverse amount of us that we could make some pretty impactful change in this world. So go for it.
Wow. Create change, everybody. Time to be a low ego action hero, as I say. So I guess we'll wind down. Sad to wind down. I could talk to you for hours, as you know. So thank you, Laurel, so much for coming on and making time for everybody here. And oh,
Thank you,
good.
Debbie.
Stephanie was here. She said, "Thank you both for this podcast. I totally needed this." So we have lots of gratitude in the live chat. So again, everybody, find Laurel, reach out to her, and find more ways to connect with what she's doing and the people she's worked with. And you're getting lots of thanks in the chat. So thank you again. And I'm going to play us out of here. I hope everybody has a good week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Delta CX is available for consulting and projects related to CX and UX strategy, leadership, training, problem finding, problem solving, and innovation. Learn more at deltacx.com.